In the world of tech, you've got your founders, you've got your visionaries, and then you have the man in the leather jacket. Today, we're going to unpack the absolutely wild story of Jensen Huang. He's the guy behind the whole AI revolution, and we're going to figure out how one person can quite literally build the future.
And look, that's not just some exaggeration. We're living in an age that's being completely defined by artificial intelligence. And Huang, well, he just stands apart. When you see him on stage, he's not your typical CEO, right? He's more like an architect of tomorrow. And to really get how he got there, you first have to understand the just staggering scale of what he's built.
Yeah, you're seeing that right. NVIDIA, the company he co-founded, has blown up to a multi-trillion-dollar valuation. And that number, it's way more than just money. It's the actual engine, the thing that's powering pretty much every single major AI breakthrough we see today. So, the big question is, how did one guy build this entire empire? Well, let me tell you. The answer is nothing like your typical Silicon Valley fairy tale.
All right, so to really understand this titan of industry, we've got to go back, way back. We need to understand the kid who was really forged in hardship, long before he ever saw the inside of a boardroom.
So forget the usual origin story, the one about Stanford dorm rooms and easy venture capital. To get a handle on Huang's resilience, we have to rewind even further. We're talking about a childhood journey that took an unexpected and frankly brutal turn.
Okay, so picture this. Jensen is just 9 years old. He and his brother get sent from Taiwan to live with relatives in the US. Now, his parents had one goal, a simple one: get the kids a better education. But a pretty major family misunderstanding meant the school they ended up in was a whole world away from that dream. The promise? A prestigious American prep school. The reality? Well, because of that mix-up, it was the Oneida Baptist Institute in rural Kentucky. And this wasn't a prep school. No way. It was a reform school for troubled kids. Can you just imagine that shock? You're trading this promise of a quiet, academic life for a super Spartan environment with kids from some really rough backgrounds. And this place, it wasn't just a tough school. It was a crucible. I mean, Huang was assigned to clean the boys' bathrooms every single day. His roommate, a heavily tattooed kid fresh out of some serious trouble. But here's the thing. Instead of breaking him, this whole experience forged this just relentless work ethic and a deep sense of self-reliance. That gauntlet in Kentucky, that's the absolute key to understanding the kind of resolve he'd need later on to survive in the business world. So it wouldn't be long before that early grit was put to the test. After he gets his electrical engineering degrees from Oregon State and then Stanford, Huang was ready. He was ready to make his mark. But he was definitely not about to play it safe. The year is 1993, and Huang meets up with two of his colleagues at, of all places, a Denny's diner. And right there, over some coffee, they decide, hey, let's start our own company. They call it NVIDIA, and their starting capital, just $40,000. I mean, that's a laughably small amount of money to try and take on an entire industry with. And believe me, it was a total battlefield. The graphics chip market back then was an absolute shark tank. You had dozens and dozens of companies all fighting for a piece of the pie. NVIDIA, they were just this tiny little fish in a huge predatory ocean. Those early years were nothing short of a brutal fight for survival.
So they get their first big shot, a deal with the gaming giant Sega. But it completely fell apart. That failure almost destroyed the company. But remember that Kentucky forged grit we talked about? Well, it kicked right in. Huang didn't quit. Instead, he made this incredibly bold pivot. He refocused the entire company on the PC market, a space he knew like the back of his hand.
And that pivot, it led directly to their breakthrough moment. In 1999, NVIDIA launches the GeForce 256. But here's the genius part. Huang didn't just call it another graphics chip. No, he created a whole new category for it, the GPU, the graphics processing unit. See, unlike other chips that were built for just one job, the GPU was programmable. Think of it like this. It was like giving developers thousands of tiny little processors to command all at once. That flexibility, it basically made all the competition's tech obsolete overnight. And just like that, NVIDIA became the king of the graphics war.
But winning one war, well, that wasn't enough for him. With the company sitting on top of the world, Huang makes a decision that, honestly, a lot of people called a monumental folly. He starts this secret, lonely, and unbelievably expensive bet on a future that nobody else could see.
So this starts around 2006. Huang begins pouring billions of dollars into this new technology called CUDA. The whole idea was to turn their gaming GPUs into general-purpose supercomputers. But for almost a full decade, Wall Street, they hated it. The stock went nowhere. Analysts were just calling it a huge waste of money, mainly because there was no obvious market for it at all.
But through all of that doubt, all the criticism, Huang's mantra was simple. He just stood firm. He was like this lone prophet, convincing his own team to believe in a vision that, let's be honest, was completely invisible to pretty much everyone else. It was an incredible act of faith.
And then 2012 happened. The world finally caught up. An AI model from the University of Toronto, a thing called AlexNet, was trained on just 2 NVIDIA GPUs. And it didn't just win a major competition, it absolutely shattered all the records. And suddenly, it was like a light bulb went on for everyone. They realized the parallel processing power of these GPUs was the perfect engine for AI. That 10-year gamble? It paid off in one single, stunning moment.
That right there, that was the turning point. That lonely, decade-long bet transformed NVIDIA from just a successful gaming company into the absolute, indispensable foundation of modern AI.
But see, Huang's true genius wasn't just about making the chip. It was the entire ecosystem he built around it. It was like a brilliant 3-layer trap. First, you got the hardware, the most powerful GPUs in the world. Second, the software, that CUDA platform we talked about, which is the only way to unlock the hardware's full power. And third, the complete system. He started building fully integrated AI supercomputers, like the very first DGX, which he famously hand-delivered himself to a little startup you might have heard of called OpenAI. By controlling the hardware, the software, and the system, he built a fortress that competitors, even today, still can't seem to break into.
And so the kid from the Kentucky Reform School became an absolute legend. The leather jacket, that became his uniform. He even got an NVIDIA logo tattooed on his arm. I mean, talk about commitment, a permanent mark of his belief in his company. Today, he is, without a doubt, the single most important person shaping the most important technology of our lifetime.
When you really think about it, his story is just an incredible testament to vision, to resilience, and to having the guts to endure a decade of doubt to build a future that just plain doesn't exist yet. And it leaves all of us with a really critical question, right? As we stand here today, what are the monumental bets being made in secret? What future is being built right now that we just can't see yet?